Welcome back, football fans, and those who also just think I'm funny. Hi, Dad. Just kidding, he also is a football fan. But anyways, let's get away from the bad jokes and move into the recap here. Before we have the 60-second recap, we have the regular recap, in which I tell you that I did horrible this week, going 7-9. That is below 500 and not what you want. A lot of crazy games, a lot of crazy wins and injuries and all sorts of things like that I was obviously not expecting. But however, it led for a bad week. However, I did get one of the special games correct. I got the Crapfest right. The Browns actually functioned as a team, which was pretty exciting stuff. However, it does move my total overall record to 16-16, which is exactly 500. And the goal is to be above that, significantly above that. But we will see, and hopefully, as the years go on, not the years, but as the weeks go on, I will, in fact, increase that above the 500 mark. But, before we go anywhere else, it is time for the 60-second recap. And here we go in 3, 2, 1. Well, first of all, we have that Cam could not throw on the Thursday night, throwing 26 out of his 50 passes into the dirt. The Pats absolutely destroyed the Dolphins, and no surprise at all. The Bengals, after trying to be good last week, decided to completely fail this week. The Cowboys rolled all over the Redskins. Really bad pick by me. Lamar ran all over the place for over 100 yards and a victory. Saquon isn't enough for the victory there. The Colts shocked the Titans by beating them, and the Titans looked quite awful. Dalvin Cook can't do it all for the Vikings, and they get the loss as well. Ben leaves the game with an injury to not come back this season. The Chargers blow it after they should have won. A bad two-point call cost the Jaguars their victory. The Raiders try their best but don't succeed against the Chiefs. Drew Brees gets hurt. The Bears finally make a field goal. The Falcons don't blow their lead, and Sam Darnold's out before the game. Trevor Siemian gets hurt in the game, and third-string Falk comes in to finish the game for the Jets. That's the 60-second recap, and I'm stumbling over my words this week. But now that we're done with that, let's move right into the predictions with our first game. The annual Titans-Jaguars Thursday night game, probably my least favorite game of the entire year besides the Patriots Super Bowl. This is the game that last year Derrick Henry ran for 99 yards and a touchdown on one singular play, and was very difficult to watch as a Jaguars fan. However, this year, things might be different. Jalen Ramsey might be playing his last game as a Jaguar, as he has requested a trade after a little scuffle with Doug Marrone on the sidelines during Sunday's game. However, and also Gardner Minshew played pretty well, drove down, and gave them the opportunity for a game-winning drive. However, Doug Marrone, once again, has some issues and calls a terrible play call for the two-point conversion. Two-point conversion, not a bad idea, but to give the ball to Leonard Fournette when he hasn't performed all game, instead of having Gardner Minshew try to figure something out when he just led them down the field to score, disappointment and not what I would have done. Titans, on the other hand, they have just lost to the Colts, a team that we thought was going to crumble and explode and probably tank this year, considering their abrupt loss of Andrew Luck be right before the season started. Jaguars here, they know Ramsey wants to win. That's his whole thing. He's going to play as hard as he can no matter where he goes, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to win. The Jaguars are going to go out there. They're going to show Ramsey that we can win in Jacksonville in hopes of keeping him there, considering he is probably their best player. I got to give it to the Jaguars. Might be a bad pick, but they are also at home. Next is the Bengals at the Bills. The Bengals, week one, pretended they were a good team. They played well. Didn't get the win, but they played well. Last week, not so much. Bills, on the other hand, are 2-0 and the Kings of New York. That's right. They beat the Jets and the Giants, both. And they're looking pretty good there in Buffalo. They're home for the first time this year, and that's going to be a big difference here. They're going to beat the Bengals in this one. Next is our game of the week, probably the most interesting game of the year so far. It is the Ravens at the Chiefs. Lamar Jackson against Patrick Mahomes. Two electrifying quarterbacks, two pretty great teams. Now, I personally would like to see the Ravens win this one, as I am not the biggest fan of Patrick Mahomes, as you may know. However, they are at home. The Chiefs are at home. It is in Kansas City, and this is the first real team that Lamar Jackson has faced. Chiefs, on the other hand, have had this team for now a year or so, and they are way more consistent. While the Ravens defense might be very, very good, I don't think it's going to be enough to stop Pat Mahomes and that electrifying offense. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs here, and maybe a pick that I'll regret, and I almost hope I do. Next is the Jets at the Patriots. The Jets are really, really, really bad. They're now on their third-string quarterback, and they're playing probably the best team in the past 10 decades in the Patriots. Patriots win that one. Next, we have the Texans at the Chargers. The Chargers have been flirting with being good for so long, and I just want them to go out there and win, but they don't do it. Texans, on the other hand, have been trying their best, and then injuries just hit them upside the head. Texans have not had injuries as the season has started. They lost Lamar Miller beforehand, but they have been playing significantly well. I'm going to go with the Texans here, as they look like the much better team in this spot. Next, we have the Falcons at the Colts. The Falcons getting a surprise victory against the Eagles last week, and the Colts getting a surprise victory against the Titans. However, the Colts have played better continually throughout this year, while the Falcons had a bad game week 1. The Colts are interesting to me, and I'm excited to see what they can do. However, I don't want them to do too well in the hopes that possibly the Jaguars figure out what is going on in their lives. But I'm going to go with the Colts here winning this one. Next, we have the Dolphins at the Cowboys. Dolphins are really, really bad. Cowboys are pretty good. Cowboys. Next is the Broncos at the Packers. The Broncos have now realized that Joe Flacco is not the quarterback that they need. However, they're not going to do anything about it, and he will be continuing to play. Packers, on the other hand, have played pretty well this season, and they are 2-0. Easily going to pick the Packers in this one. Next is the Raiders at the Vikings. The Vikings have not performed to the abilities in the quarterbacking area. Kirk, just freaking do it, man. Okay? You have the abilities. Oh, you just need to win against good teams, okay? The Raiders, on the other hand, are not that good of a team. Maybe it'll do it for him, and he'll be able to get the victory. I hope so, because I am picking them. Because Dalvin Cook has been annihilating everything. And hopefully, Kirk won't have to do as much. But anyways, the next game is the Steelers at the 49ers. The Steelers have just lost Big Ben, who is a major part of their offense and has been for a significant number of years at this point. 49ers, on the other hand, are undefeated at this point, which is a little interesting there. So I'm going to go with the 49ers here, considering that they haven't lost yet, and they have a quarterback at the moment. Next is the Rams at the Browns. While the Browns may have won last week, I don't think it's enough to give them a chance in this game. The Rams are still a significantly better team. So I'm going to go with the Rams in this one. Moving to the NFC, we have the Lions at the Eagles. The Lions are a team that tied week 1 against the Cardinals in Kyler Murray's first ever career start, and then beat the Chargers. I don't understand them. Eagles, on the other hand, they managed to defeat the Redskins after a very slow start, and then lost to the Falcons with another slow start. However, how the Lions lost against or tied to the Cardinals was because the Cardinals had a slow start. So maybe the Eagles, especially because they're also at home, their slow start won't matter, and they'll be able to do the same thing that the Cardinals did, however, more successfully and with a victory. So I'm going to go with them on this one. Next is the Giants at the Buccaneers, our Crapfest of the week. Both these teams are struggling a bit. While Buccaneers may have a win, they still have Jameis Winston as their quarterback, who is just the king of turnovers. He has his own bakery shop where he sells them. And the Giants, on the other hand, have benched Eli Manning in favor of Daniel Jones to get his first career start in his rookie season, which I'm a little excited for. Okay? It's always fun and exciting when a new quarterback comes onto the scene and faces a really bad team in which he actually has a chance of victory. However, it is still his first game as an NFL quarterback, and I gotta go with the Buccaneers. While they might have more experience, it is Jameis Winston, but it will be enough for them to get the victory here. Next is the Panthers at the Cardinals. My upset of the week, in fact. Now, the Panthers might be without Cam Newton this week, but they still have Christian McCaffrey, and the Cardinals have been getting into their groove a little bit here. Kyler Murray has figured out that Larry Fitzgerald is an absolute beast, even though he is quite old at this point. But it doesn't really matter for him. It's another threat on his team that he can give it to, and I think he's going to finally figure out what to do here in the NFL and get his first career win, overtaking the Carolina Panthers. Next, we have the Saints at the Seahawks. Saints have just lost Breezes, their Lord and Savior of New Orleans, and that's a disappointment. Great player, great guy, and I'm going to miss him for the next 6 weeks or so when he's not there. Seahawks, on the other hand, they have Russell Wilson, who's been their number one man for a long time now. And I can't really see him giving up a loss to a team that just lost their number one. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks this one. And finally, our final game of this week is the Bears at the Redskins. The Bears, they won a game. Their defense continued to play quite fantastically. The Redskins, on the other hand, struggled a little bit, but played a decent game. But they are still quite mediocre. Case Keenum step it up a little bit more, and maybe they'll get the victory. However, the Bears, they might have figured out in Week 3 how an offense actually works. So that could be interesting. And I think I'm going to go with them getting this one because their defense is just too strong to not pick, in my opinion. But that's all for this week. Thank you for watching. And as always, adios.